Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English. This is Mukesh Soni. Friends, in this video we shall have a discussion of the important questions of the famous speech of Winston Churchill. The title is here, Never Given, and that speech was delivered by Churchill during the commencement ceremony of at Harrow School 1941. So let's begin it. The important questions from the speech here. The very first, we shall have a discussion of the short questions, one of the two line sentences questions. Answer the following questions in a sentence or two sentences. Question number one: how does Churchill describe the situation of Britain in the last 10 months? Answer is here, catastrophic. Option B is the correct answer, catastrophic. Then the British are often better at the last. The word last here refers to being experienced with a war. Last here refers to that the people of UK or the British people, the British, they have the experience of war. Then the question number three. According to Churchill, name the two impostors that should be treated just as the same. Triumph and disaster. Triumph and disasters are the two important imposters. Then, what are the only two convictions that we should give in to, as told by Churchill? Never yield to force and never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy. Question number five. In the speech, what does Churchill believe that the British should? Option C, the British should remain hopeful in the tough situation. So that's the correct option. Now we are moving to the next segment here, 5 marks questions or the answers in a paragraph. Question number one, what does Churchill mean that Britishers are better at being long and tough? What does he mean to say here with this statement? Never Given is an inspiring speech made by or delivered by Winston Churchill, Great Britain's ex Prime Minister and famous orator, when he visited Harrow School on October 29, 1941. In his speech, he analyzed the world situation and how other countries looked at Britain, then called on the British people not to give in. He expressed his conviction that this nation was determined to fight for the victory of this war, of this great war, because he understands that the war is long and tough. It is not to end in months, but in years. He tells the people that, however, however long the war lasts or continues, the final victory belongs to Britain. But at the same time, he makes it clear that not every day is an opportunity to take action. They have yet to wait and persevere. They need to struggle. So this is a question number one. Then question number two, what are Churchill's views on imagination? Never Given is an inspiring speech delivered by Winston Churchill, Great Britain's ex-prime minister and famous orator, when he visited Harrow School on October 29, 1941. In his speech, he analyzed the world situation and how other countries looked at Britain and then called on the British people not to give in. He expressed his conviction that this nation was determined to fight for the victory of this great war. Discarding the judgments from the appearances, the speaker says that imagination makes things out far worse than they are. At the same time, he also emphasizes the importance of imagination because without imagination, not much can be done. According to him, imaginative people imagine more dangers that they exist, and many more will happen. At the same time, such people who imagine must pray for the extra courage to carry such far reaching imagination. Here, Churchill's attitude towards the people who are imaginative is very critical. Question number three, discuss the lesson learned in the past 10 months. According to Winston Churchill, the lesson learned throughout the throughout the past 10 months was that when facing great difficulties, one should never give in. With a combination of imagination and courage, British could overcome any kind of difficulties and smash any attack of the enemy. When the British were in heavy attack by Germany, many other nations thought that Britain was finished. As the country stood to the great ordeal surprise, those nations changed their views. The speaker has rightly mentioned in his speech, he says, "We stood all alone a year ago, and to many countries it seemed that our account was closed and we were finished. All this tradition of ours, our songs, our school history, this part of the history of this country were gone and finished and liquidated." Winston Churchill has motivated everyone in the speech saying, "Never give in, never give in, never, 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 never in nothing, great or small, large or pretty, large or petty, never give in, except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force, never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy." Question number four. Why does Churchill insist on replacing the word darker with sterner in the song? So it is the song's line, "Not less we praise in darker days." There was a song with the headmaster's permission. The speaker would like to alter the word darker to sterner, and he would like to say, "Not less we praise in sterner days." So Churchill could venture this idea earlier because that was the worst time for Britain. Britain was desperately alone, poorly armed, and many other countries believed that Britain would not be able to survive the war. It was not the right time to do so since pessimism was prevailing among many people at that time. So Churchill's intention behind changing the word darker with sterner, because he had a strong conviction of victory. That's the main intention here. The word darker carries a pessimistic tone because it usually indicates a period of unpleasant and frightening time. It also implies hopelessness in a very difficult period. So, obviously, the word darker is not suitable in this verse. But the word sterner, though it has identical reference, suggests a time that is the testing time, but testing in a way that offers the British the opportunity to display their courage to the full. But this testing time is going to give them an opportunity where they can display their courage to the fullest level. It also suggests a very tough and challenging time which requires more courage and imagination. That's the reason that Mr. Churchill would like to change the word darker to sterner. Question number five, the last question with reference to a textbook. As mentioned in the speech, how did Britain defend itself when the world assumed that it was completely defeated? The lesson learned throughout the past 10 months was that when facing great difficulties, one should never give in. With a combination of imagination and courage, the British people could overcome any kind of difficulties and smash any attack of the enemy. When Britain came under the heavy air attacks by Germany, many other nations they thought that Britain was finished. As the country stood the ordeal, to the great surprise, those nations changed their views. Winston Churchill, he tries to persuade the listeners never to give in to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy, which is mainly a more defensive attitude. Churchill takes one step further, that is, to convince the listeners that it is the high time that the British people persevere to conquer, suggesting a more ambitious goal for the nation. And finally, the speaker, Winston Churchill, has rightly mentioned, Very different is the mood today. Britain. Other nations thought Britain had drawn a sponge across a slate, but instead our country stood in the gap. There was no flinching and no thought of giving in, and by what seemed almost a miracle to those outside these islands, though we ourselves never doubted it, we now find ourselves in a position where I say that we can be sure that we have only to persevere to conquer. So, friends, this is how I have tried to solve the questions of the important speech never given. And you can go through the summary of the speech in my in the playlist. And I have also shared the links of all the videos in the description box. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English. This is Mukesh Soni. Friends, in this video we are going to have a discussion of the important questions of the lesson J.K. Rowling's Harvard commencement speech. Let's begin it. Answer the following questions in a paragraph. Question number 1. Why does J.K. Rowling think imagination is important? So what is the significance of imagination from the point of view of J.K. Rowling or according to J.K. Rowling? In 2008, J.K. Rowling delivered a powerful graduation speech at Harvard University. In many ways, it was absolutely spellbinding and quickly became the most motivational speech. It's not surprising that J.K. Rowling, the creator of the Harry Potter series and one of history's most successful novelists, would encourage graduates to capitalize on the power of the imagination, something that she claims to have played a leading role in rebuilding her life. According to J.K. Rowling, imagination is not only the uniquely human capacity to envision that which is not, and therefore the fount of all invention and innovation. In its arguably most transformative and revelatory capacity, imagination is the power which enables us to empathize with humans whose experience we have never shared. That is the importance of imagination, according to J.K. Rowling. In this manner, J.K. Rowling speaks about how the power of human imagination is the key to unlocking our potential. Imagination can help us to overcome obstacles and find solutions to the problems that may seem impossible. In other words, imagination allows us to create a better world. Cultivating your imagination requires time and practice, so give yourself to think outside the box and explore new ideas. Question number 2. What is the central idea of the fringe benefits in failure in J.K. Rowling's speech? J.K. Rowling begins her speech by identifying its purpose. She reflects how, upon graduating university, it was not poverty that scared her, that is, failure. She was more scared with failure. She saw it as the ultimate humiliation. She describes how, for her, failure was an immensely personal experience, and that for her, failure was a broken marriage, being unemployed, and raising a child by herself. It took her time to realize that it was only because of this state of failure that she had the freedom to write the novel of her dreams, which led to her ultimate success. It was failure that led her to discover her resilience and ambition. She says, the honest tone in failure taught me things about myself that I could have learned no other way. That captures her changed perspective on the meaning of failure and how she realized that it actually meant that she was set free because my greatest fear had been realized and I was still alive, according to J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling describes failure means opportunity, a chance to reset and to remake oneself. So, one of the most important lessons J.K. Rowling learned because of failure is that life is difficult and complicated, and beyond one's total control, and the humility to know what will enable you to survive its vicissitudes. It is failure that allows us to learn the true extent of our capacity to thrive and grow. Question number three. What is J.K. Rowling's what is J.K. Rowling's final message to people who enjoy privileges? Addressing the Harvard graduates of 2008, J.K. Rowling states that their intelligence, capacity for hard work, and the education they have earned and received will give them a unique status and unique responsibilities, irrespective of their nationality. She connects them to the world's only remaining superpower. She further remarks, the way you vote, the way you live, the way you protest, the pressure you bring to bear on your government has an impact way beyond your borders. That's your privilege and your burden. She tells them to use their status and influence to raise their voice on behalf of those who have no voice. They should use their identity with the powerless, not with the powerful. They should also retain the ability to imagine themselves into the lives of those who do not have any advantages. J.K. Rowling says, then it will not only be your proud families who celebrate your existence, but thousands and the millions of people whose reality you have helped change. We do not need magic to change the world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already. We have the power to imagine better. Question number four, that's the last question, which is also kind of a brief summary of the whole speech. Write a note on J.K. Rowling's motivation. So I have tried to give you the key points of the whole speech in the words of J.K. Rowling that you could use to quote and to further more explanation. A lot of people around the world know J.K. Rowling as the author of Harry Potter series. How she had a broken marriage and a single parent, she raised a girl and managed to write books is almost everyone knows. She was the one who gave the commencement address to the Harvard University to the graduates of the year 2008 on the 5th June of the same year. Let us have some glimpses of that words of wisdom. So, in the words of J.K. Rowling, J.K. Rowling says, J.K. Rowling motivates saying, don't blame your elders to turn you to the wrong direction. Once you're old enough, you have to be mature enough and have to be ready to take the responsibility of all your deeds you have done. J.K. Rowling further remarks, poverty is romanticized by fools only, as it leads a lot of humiliations. Climbing out of poverty on yourself by your efforts is something to proud of. If you know your parents did the same, rather than criticizing or something, respect them. Failure is a kind of poverty and it is to be overcome too. She further says some failures are inevitable. Keep yourself ready for the failure, but make sure it teaches you a lesson. Further, she says failure tells you to strip or stripe the inessentials from you. Fear of failure makes you to work harder and smarter in a similar way the desire of success. Failure may guide you to the right arena you belong, or at least let you know that possibly it is the wrong arena where you spent your efforts. You should convert the rock bottom end which you reached due to a failure into the strong foundation to build your future. Further, she remarks, it is impossible to live without being failed unless you lived so cautiously that it may not be considered as a life. Don't you think it is a failure in itself? She motivates saying, during the time followed by the failure, you know the strength of your relations, your abilities, and your inner strength too. Life is not a checklist of your acquisitions or achievements. It is complicated, difficult, and beyond anyone's total control. Imagination is a unique capacity to envision the stuff which is not here. Human beings are the creatures who can learn without experience the things. It is a unique ability, in the words of J.K. Rowling. She motivates saying that use your ability or status to raise your voice for those who have no voice. We do not need magic to transform a world. We have those power already within us. Further, she says, the saying for the story, not how long it is, but how good it is, matters the most, applies to the life as well. So, hence, we can say that her 2008 Harvard University commencement address gives a glimpse into the minds of this celebrated philanthropist and the creator. With self deprecating wit, Rowling shares wisdom gleaned from her personal and the professional life and credits her success to a blend of failure and imagination. So, friends, this is how I try to solve the questions from the lesson J.K. Rowling's famous Harvard commencement speech. So, please do subscribe the channel. If you like this video, click on the like button. In the description box, you can see all the lessons video, even the summary of this lesson as well. So, thank you so much for watching this video. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English. This is Mukesh Soni. Friends, in this video we are going to have a discussion of the important questions of the famous speech of Narayan Murthy at Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management. So let's have a discussion of the important questions from the speech. So the answers, you need to answer the following questions in a paragraph. And the question number 1 we have here: explain in detail how the pillars of the cultural value system are useful according to the Narayan Murthy or according to the speaker. So answer is here. While delivering a speech at Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, Narayan Murthy opines that there are two pillars of the cultural value system. One is the loyalty to family and the another is loyalty to community. One should not be in isolation to the other because successful societies are those which combine both harmoniously. It is in this context that Mr. Murthy discusses the role of Western values in the contemporary Indian society. As an Indian, he feels proud to be part of culture which has deep-rooted family values. He further comments that we have tremendous loyalty to the family. For example, parents make enormous sacrifices for the children. They support them until they can stand on their own feet. On the other side, children consider it their duty to take care of the aged parents. In this manner, Mr. Narayan Murthy explains how the pillars of the cultural value system are useful. Question number 2: what will Western value system teach us? As far as the Western values are concerned, Narayan Murthy remarks that there is a respect for the public good in the West. For example, parks are free of litter, clean streets, public toilets free of graffiti. All these are the examples of care for the public good. On the other hand, in India, we keep our houses clean and water our gardens every day. But when we go to a park, we do not think twice before littering the place. Further, Mr. Murthy continues that corruption in our country, as we see in our country, corruption is the another example of putting the interest of oneself and at best that is of one's family above that of the society. Society is relatively corruption free in the West. For example, it's very difficult to bribe a police officer into avoiding a speeding ticket in the West. Means to say, in the West, it's very difficult to bribe the traffic police, whereas in our country, it's quite easy. In the West, individuals understand that they have to be responsible to the community. They care for the society and they sacrifice for it. Further, they solve societal problems proactively. This is where we need to learn from the West, according to Narayan Murthy. Question number 3: list out the differences between Indian values and Western values. While delivering a speech at Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, Narayan Murthy opines that there are two pillars of the cultural value system. One is loyalty to family and loyalty to community. One should not be in isolation to the other because successful societies are those which combine both harmoniously. It is in this context that Mr. Murthy discusses the role of Western values in the contemporary Indian society. As an Indian, he feels proud to be a part of a culture which has deep rooted family values. He further comments that we have tremendous loyalty to the family. Further, Mr. Murthy continues that as we see in India, corruption is another example of putting the interest of oneself and at best that of one's family above that of the society. Society is relatively corruption free in the West. For example, it's very difficult to bribe a police officer into avoiding a speeding ticket in the West. In the West, individuals understand that they have to be responsible for the community, they care for the society, they sacrifice for this. Further, they solve societal problems proactively. Our attitude towards family life is not reflected in our attitude towards community behavior, as Narayan Murthy says. From littering the streets to the corruption to breaking of contractual obligations, we are apathetic to the common good. In the West, the US, the Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, individuals understand that they have to be responsible towards a community in the West. The primary difference between the West and us or India is that there in the West, people have much better societal orientation. They care more for the society than we do. Further, they generally sacrifice more for the society than we do. Quality of life is enhanced because of this in the West. This is where we need to learn from the West, and this is the major difference between the Western values and the Indian values. Fourth question, this last question: what is the essence of Indian values and one of our key strengths? Speaking on the essence of Indian values, Narayan Murthy remarks that we believe in Matru Devo Bhava, Mother is God, Pitru Devo Bhava, Father is God. Further, brothers and sisters sacrifice for each other. In fact, the eldest brother or the sister is respected by all the siblings. As far as the marriage is concerned, it's considered as a sacred union. Husband and wife are bonded most often for life. In joint families, the entire family works towards the welfare of the family. There's so much love and affection in our family life. This is the essence of Indian values and are one of our key strengths. Our families act as a critical support mechanism for us in the crisis. In fact, the credit to the success of Infosys goes as much to the founders as to the families for supporting them through the tough times. So, friends, this is how I have tried to solve the questions from the speech of Narayan Murthy, and these questions are with reference to the textbook. And you can also go through the summary of the speech, and the link of the summary is already in the description box, as well as all the other lessons of third semester BCOM BBA Generic English under Bangalore University and the BU and BNU. All the lessons videos link you can go through in the in the description box. Thank you so much for reaching me. If you have any questions, you can mail me mukeshenglish@gmail.com. If you are not yet subscribe my channel, please do subscribe and click on the like button. Thank you once again. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English. This is Mukesh Soni. Friends, in this video we are going to have a discussion of the important questions from the famous speech of Dr. Ambedkar titled Dr. Ambedkar's Message to Women. So in this chapter or in this speech we are going to have a discussion of the short questions with reference to the textbook, and the textbook says here answer the following questions in one of the two sentences. So the question number one: what, according to Ambedkar, was an occasion of greater happiness for the one who is interested in the advancement of depressed classes? So the answer is here: to witness the vast gathering of women, that is 20,000 to 25,000 in number, was an occasion of greater happiness for the one who is interested in the advancement of depressed class, according to Ambedkar. So it means to say, seeing the women in this number, in the great number, gathered together, and the number is about 20,000 to 25,000 women if they gather together. So that's a great occasion of happiness, especially for the one who would like to bring the advancement or the improvement of the depressed class, according to B.R. Ambedkar. Second question: what would be unthinkable according to Ambedkar 10 years ago? The unthinkable is here: gathering of 20,000 to 25,000 women was an unthinkable event 10 years ago, according to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Question number three: how does Ambedkar measure the progress of a community? Ambedkar measures the progress of a community by the degree of progress which women have achieved. When he observes the women's gathering in the vast number, he feels both convinced and happy that we have progressed. Question number four: what advice does Ambedkar give to women? Ambedkar advises women to learn to be clean, keep free from all vices, give education to your children, instill ambition among the children, inculcate in the minds that they are destined to be great, remove from them all inferiority complexes. He also says that don't be in a hurry to marry because marriage is a liability. And he also advises women to stand along with the husband and to be their friend. The husband should not treat them as a slave. So this is how he advises the women to be empowered, and he here speaks about the emancipation of women. The last question in your textbook: what will happen if women follow Ambedkar's advice? If women follow Ambedkar's advice, women will bring honor and glory to themselves and to the depressed classes. So, friends, this is how I have tried to solve the questions from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar famous speech, Message to Women, Ambedkar's Message to Women. And I have already done all the videos of all the chapters of your textbook, Fire and the Rain, and the five speeches, and all the videos links you can go through the description box. Even the summary of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's Message to Women is also available. You can go through all the chapters link, including the grammar, that is the workbook, your presentation skills, like all the commercial writing, letter writing. So all the topics which are related to the third semester BCOM and BBA generic English, all the videos links are available in the description box. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, any queries, you can reach me at my email ID mukeshenglish@gmail.com. If you have not yet subscribed my channel, please do subscribe and click on the like button. Thank you so much once again. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English. This is Mukesh Soni. Friends, in this video we are going to have the discussion of the important questions of Bob Dylan's Nobel Prize acceptance speech in the year 2016. So here we are going to have a discussion of the important questions of Bob Dylan's speech with reference to the textbook. So according to the textbook, we have here one of the two sentences questions, not the paragraph type questions. For the paragraph type questions, I would suggest you to go through my video of the summary of Bob Dylan's speech, and the summary of Bob Dylan's speech, you can go through the link in the description box. So let's have a discussion of the one of the two sentences questions. Question number one: whom does Bob Dylan refer to as a literary giants? Bob Dylan refers to Kipling, George Bernard Shaw, Thomas Mann, Pearl Buck, Albert Camus, Hemingway as the literary giants. What is the secret dream that Bob Dylan refers to? Anyone who writes a book or a poem or a play anywhere in the world will have a secret dream of noble honor in their life. Question number three: Where was Dylan when he received the news of winning the Nobel Prize? Dylan was out on the road when he received the news of winning the Nobel Prize. So he was out on the road the moment he received the news of the winning of the. I'm sorry. Dylan was out on the road when he received the news of winning the Nobel Prize. What was the really big prize in his mind? Making records and hearing his own songs on radio was a really big prize in his mind. That meant, why is it? Because so that he could reach to a big audience. Question number 5. To which great literary figure does Bob Dylan compare himself? He compares himself to William Shakespeare. Last question. According to Bob Dylan, it is difficult to play for 50 people. Is it true or false? Yes, it's true. It's very difficult to play for 50 people rather than a huge crowd. So friends, this is how I have tried to solve the questions based on the textbook, and the video and the summary of this speech you can easily watch it on my channel. You can go through the link in the description box, as well as you can also go through all the chapters links in the description box. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, you can mail me on mukeshenglish@gmail.com. If you are not yet subscribed my channel, please do subscribe and also click on the like button. Thank you once again.